Welcome back to my craft room. This is my second attempt at recording this video because my computer decided to shut down completely and I lost everything. This is going to be something slightly different. I'm going to be making a postbound album. And you can use that for anything really. The main thing obviously you're going to need is the I don't know what you call them really. Okay, they're called Chicago screws. That's the main thing they're called. And I'm having quite a big album. So these are 10 centimetres, 100 mils. When you get past 100 mils, they tend to get slightly more expensive and harder to find actually. But up to about 10 centimetres, they're pretty good value. You may recognise them and know them better as Scrapbook album posts, and they come in a smaller size and you get all the little extensions you can add on. This is basically just one that doesn't need extensions because it's already 10 centimetres. So if you do a search for Chicago hinge or Scrapbook binding posts, that'll find them as well, or anything like that. You can usually find them quite easily, and they usually come in a gold, brassy gold or silver. So you'll be needing those for however deep you want your album. You'll also be needing some chipboard or grey board as we call it over in the UK, and some paper. And this is just the way I'm making. I'm sure there are loads of many people that make them in many different ways. This is just how I'm going to be making mine. The first thing I'm going to be making is the pages. So now I could have bought some larger paper and made pages, but I actually wanted to use up what I had already, and I found this was a very much cheaper way of doing it, because obviously up to A4 paper is a lot less expensive than if you start getting larger sheets of paper. This is 140 GSM paper. If I remember, I will remember to put the conversion where you can find a conversion from GSM to pounds in the description box below. So I need my scoreboard. Oh, there it is. Okay, so the reason why this paper is going to be a slightly odd size is because what I'm going to be using my postbound album for is to put in things that I've printed out. And when I print out the pages, a lot of it is American size A4. So and I don't have an edge-to-edge printer, so whenever I print out anything, I can't get it full A4 size. I don't have an edge-to-edge printer. It leaves a border all the way around. And the American size prints out differently anyway. So the American size comes in at about 10 3/4 inches by about 8 inches, I think. So I've decided my page is going to be 10 7/8 of an inch by 8 1/8 of an inch. So that's going to be my page. So I've just cut that down from an A4. Okay, and what I'm also going to need is a piece that's 10 7/8 of an inch by 4 inches, and on that 4-inch side I've scored it down the middle, so at 2 inches, folded in half, and with the folded edge to my left I am going to realise that I've lost my score tool. There it is. And I'm going to score this at 1 inch. Now if you haven't got a scoreboard, you're going to need, I would suggest, something with a straight edge to make this easy for you. So a piece of chipboard or a paper pad, anything that you've got, something that a straight edge that you can butt up to. Okay, and the reason being is it makes it a whole lot easier to, if you're sticking bits of paper together, to keep them in a straight line and to keep them even. Okay, so that's been folded in half and I've scored it at 1 inch. Now open it up again. I'm going to butt that up against the top of my scoreboard here. I'm going to bring in my other larger piece, and all I'm going to do at the moment is I'm going to grab my glue, and on this last 1 inch space here, so from that last score line, just on this 1 inch panel, I'm going to put some glue. And I don't mind if I go over at the score line, but I do need to be able to see the score line. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to rest this up right up against the score line, but not over it, and butt it up against the top of the scoreboard, and then I know that that's one whole straight line and that's all even. And this is why I use my scoreboard, and why you need something flat to butt this up against. Now I'm going to cover the rest of my 4 inch piece. So the remaining 3 inches that are showing, I'm going to cover with glue. Move my scoreboard out of the way. From that 2 inch, the original score line that you did, fold it over, and then give that a burnish. And this is why I moved my scoreboard, because I didn't want to get glue all over it. So when I've done, and I'm having for that 10 centimetre, which I think is about 4 1/4 inches, I think. Should be 4 1/4 inches. Let me have a look. No, it's 4 inches according to this. Okay, 4 inches. So for that 4 inch Chicago screw, for me to fill it, I'm going to have about 100 pages. So, and like I said, this is all 140 GSM, and the paper that I've printed out my designs on that are going to be stuck to this are between 60 and 80 GSM, so they're quite a lightweight paper. Now, just folding along that score line very gently, because I don't want to really do too much until it's dry. And basically what you're going to do is your holes for the posts will be on this last bit of the score line here, and everything else that I print out will be put onto here. So those are going to be my pages. I need about 100 of them, give or take. Right, next I need to make the cover. And the first thing I'm going to need for the front and the back cover are, for each one, 2 bits of chipboard. This is grey board. That's what we call it, grey board. Let's just move this back a little bit. There we go. Okay, and these are roughly, because obviously it's an A4. Well, it's cut from an A3, so it's A4 in height, which is about 11 3/4 inches by, these are 9 3/4 inches. So 9 3/4 by roughly 11 3/4, and these are 1 inch by 11 3/4. And you're also going to need some Tyvek or whatever you prefer to use to keep your hinges and such like together. So once again, I'm going to bring in my scoreboard. Okay, double-sided tape of some description on your Tyvek. And release that tape backing. And what I'm going to do is very carefully try not to get stuck to it and on this, just down there. Okay, that's not very good. Okay, now I want a 1/4 of an inch gap in between these two bits. So what I'm going to do is, I know that's 9 3/4, so this has to go to roughly 10 inches. Because I want quite a large gap there. Okay, that's good enough for me. So I've got a little bit of overhang there, but I can cut that off. And same again. And this second one I'm actually going to put on slightly differently, because I want it to be exactly the same gap in between. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to lay this on the board here. Put that up against each other, and then I know if I put this one directly on top, so I just got to make sure this is even. There we go. And then I can lay this one on here, and my gap is exactly the same, this one to this one, at least it should be, even though it doesn't look quite the same. I'm going to move that in a bit. Oh dear. Once again, really good tape. I think I'm just going to eyeball this one to about the same. There we go. I think that's exactly the same as it was anyway. Okay, so that's your first bit. Next, you're going to need some packaging card or double thickness good quality card. So I think I am going to use packaging card. I did have some here. And you're also going to need some more Tyvek. So on each of these I used 1/4 of a sheet, and the rest of it, the sheets are here. If you don't use Tyvek on here, that's okay, though I would advise you to. For the next bit you really do want Tyvek, and we haven't finished with these yet, by the way. So what did I do? Right, I'm going to stop recording and find my card. I'll be back in a mo. Okay, what I'm using is actually corrugated packaging board. This isn't what I had originally, but I kind of changed my mind because I want that slight curve it can give me. So this is what I'm using, and I've covered it in double-sided carpet tape, actually. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to need is my scoreboard again, so I can get this nice and straight-ish. Okay, so I put double-sided tape on the back. It's hanging over the edges, and I've got double-sided tape here, and the reason being is there is a join here because I couldn't find a piece long enough, so I joined some pieces and cut a bit off the bottom. Right, let's get to my 3/4 Tyvek sheets. And then I am going to take off this tape backing. Okay, this just allows me to get a straight edge, and I'm going to lay this, which I don't need my scoreboard really. I think I'm going to lay it, should I lay it that far? I'm trying to think how much I'm going to need. I'm going to need, yeah, I'm going to lay this roughly almost to the middle. I'll try to do it straight. I'll go one side and then one this side. Not brilliantly straight, but that's not too bad. I'm going to stick it down. Okay, now this, what I need to do now is from this edge, I'm going to make it get my score tool and get that nicely in on both sides. Okay, so this is going to eventually be my spine. So what I need this to be is, and where that folds in, I need I'm going to have 1, 2, and oh, let me try and think here. Oh, what did I do with my score tool? Okay, anything? There we go. Right, so it's just so I can see where my 6-inch line is. So if that's there, okay, I need to score roughly, right, I need to cut this off at 2.5 inches. That should be enough. Yep, so 2.5 inches, and the same on this one. Line up the score there, and 2.5 inches. Now if you want to, you can just fold this in and have it extra strong, or you can cut it off. I think I'm going to cut mine off, but it has to be fairly straight, so I'm going to go and do that. Okay, so the next thing I want to do is to wrap this like you would a album cover in paper. So I'm going to release. I've put extra double-sided tape on the sides, the little wings here. And if you hear any strange noises, it's my dog. He's hiding underneath my craft desk, snoring occasionally. Okay, now for these bigger bits to come off. Okay, obviously I'm using A3 paper here. I could probably have got away with 12 by 12, but I actually find A3 paper than card is cheaper to buy than 12 by 12, so I tend to buy A3. My A3 cardstock I usually get from the range, and my A3 chipboard, grey board, I get from a place called protectorfile.co.uk, and I will try to remember to link those below as well. Okay, so you want to really get that okay. So the next thing I want to do is to lay my ruler there. I am going to score it slightly. There we go. And you want to wrap this all the way around this bit here. So I'm just going to score that and do that. Right, okay, so I've scored all around the edges and I've folded in this bit as well, ready. And I want to see the measurement I have here. So I've still got most of it. I probably lost about 1/16 of an inch on the fold, but that's okay. So next I want to wrap this. So I'm going to go around the edges. And what I'm doing is I'm going to make sure that where, as you can see, this line here is slightly uneven. I'm going to make sure that I go in a straight line right the way across. So that really, you do really need to have that even, and I was a little bit naughty. And then this side, and what I like to do is the longer sides first and then the shorter sides for this one. Okay, before I fold in, what I want to do is I'm going to miter these edges not quite up to that where the score lines meet. So I don't want to go up to that. I want a small gap left. So I've mitered my edges, and you see there's a small gap between the corner of my paper here and where I've cut into the card there. So I want to do that on all 4 sides, all 4 corners. Of course, the other way you can do this is to grab a ruler and put it just across and then cut in a straight line, but I want them slightly overlapping because I want to make sure that I have no white showing through, which is why I'm doing it at this odd angle. Okay, so longest sides first. Release this tape backing. And then fold Well, that was daft, wasn't it? Let me just release that bit first. Release my end bit there. Okay. Right. Now I can do this bit. Okay, and now I can do my smaller edges, shorter edges. Let's get all the tape backing off. And the same as when you wrap an album, I'm just going to push in my sides here. And then fold this up. Oh, excuse me. Got the sneezels. And there we go. So now I'll give this a really good burnish. And what I'm also going to do is I'm going to grab a glue bottle and I'm going to roll this over the glue bottle to give it a bit of curve. There we go. Get rid of my rubbish. Okay, so next I'm going to fold these outwards so I can see the score line. Grab my scoreboard, lay the score line up straight against, and you want to go by the score line, not by butting it up against something, because where this is two different thicknesses, this might bow down like mine has. Okay, so now you want to measure out 1 1/8 of an inch and score, and then 1/8 of an inch and score. Oh, do that on both sides. So this one here. Okay, 1 1/8 of an inch and score. Oh dear. Get this straight again. 1 1/8. And and then 1/8 of an inch over from that. Okay, and that is just going to give you that little bit of curve on there. Okay, that's all you have to do for that one for now. Oh no, you do have to cover it on the other side. So I don't think, let's have a look. Oh, we might be able to get away with an A4 piece, but then you're going to have that there. No. I'm going to use an A3 piece, and I'm going to do this by eye, as in I'm going to lay this out and not measure it with a ruler, and just measure it with a pencil line here, and then take it off by about that much there. I'm going to cut this down to size where I put on my pencil marks. If I can see them. And it is 9 1/8 of an inch by 11 3/4 inches. If you want the measurements, that's what they are. Right, so I am going to mat this on this, and then that piece will be ready for the next bit. Right, back to this one. I'm going to use some, this is actually Gorilla Tape, and I've chosen this not just because it's the only black tape I've got that I really, really love. It's extra sticky. So the first thing I'm going to do with my tape is I'm going to wrap through this bit here, right the way round. So I'm going to start off down here and across that join all the way round. Now you could wrap this with paper if you wanted to. I just, at the moment, I think I prefer the strength that this gives me. So cut that off about there. Take my bone folder and give that a good press through that gap in the centre. Okay, because you want this to be able to fold directly in half. And of course, the older this book gets and the more it's used, the more that will work. Next, more Gorilla Tape. Oh, this one's a different one. Okay, and what I want to do next is wrap my edges, and I have run out of Gorilla Tape, so I might have to use this one, which I don't want to. I'm going to get some more tape and I'm going to wrap all the way around the edges. Okay, I found some extra. Hopefully this will be enough. And I'm going to start about here, I think. Okay, and then the easiest way to do this is to cut a V, not quite up to where the chipboard is. There we go. And then fold it down, do the next side. Now you can either just fold this side in, or cut it out like this. So that side can now go down. Okay, so once again, a V, not quite up to the chipboard, and then pull this down. And run it along the edge. Cut into that bit there. Oop. And then I can just pop this bit down. Once again, cut a V. Lay that down. Okay, just tucking in that corner on the far side there, and then I can do this one. Once again, cut a V. Lay this one down. Cut into this side. So my scissors are getting very, very sticky. And then tuck in your edges and fold that over. And then finish off this side. There we go. Go over that with a bone folder. Along the edges as well. Like that, and then do the same to the other piece. So I'm going to do the same to this piece. Going to wrap it around the centre here and then all the way around the edges, and then I'll be back again. Okay, that's all wrapped. The next thing you want to do, excuse me, my voice is going. Right, the next thing we need to do is to cover just this flap here. Okay, we will be covering this, but you have to cover this flap here. So this is an A4 piece of paper, and I cut it into 7/8 of an inch strips, 4 strips, because you have to do both sides of both pieces. So let's release the tape backing. Add a little bit of glue because you have got this cardboard in the middle exposed. And then pop it on. And do that to both sides. And then on it goes. Okay, so that is this part and this part and this part, which I haven't actually covered the middle of yet, and I'm going to have to. No, that's not it. I think I just cut into the bit that I cut off. Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. Okay, so all this needs to be ready for the next bit. I've gone and lost the bit that I cut here. I'm going to go and cut an extra bit for here, and then I'll be back. Okay, so I've got it covered both sides, and this is the outside. This is the inner of the spine, so I want to fold the edges in and this should give you a really good workout. And then the second set of score lines, you just want to fold those in the other direction. Like so. And you might find it easier to fold them in first. And then kind of fold them back. Okay, that's a bit better. Want to make sure the paper's really well stuck down for this bit. Okay. Okay. So now you're left, if you look at it from the top, with this sort of shape. Okay. Right. Now comes the hard bit. You have to figure out what's going to be back and front. Now, the Tyvek I like to have on the outside, so I'm just going to line that up. Tyvek on outside of each one. The next thing I want to do is figure out where I want my holes to be. And for now, I think I'm just going to have 2. And the easiest way to make an even hole, for me, is make a hole where you want from the top of a spare piece. And then you line that up with your paper. Draw a circle. Then flip it upside down so you get it at the bottom. So then you know that those are exactly the same distance in and up and down from each side. They're exactly equal. Now we have to transfer this to, and this is where it starts to get to be a bit of a pain. Okay, so this is going here. Right, I need to punch the holes. So I'm going to punch my holes into my paper. Now, I do know that these holes are going to be slightly too small for they're going to be slightly too small for my bolts to go through. So these aren't going to quite fit. They will fit at a push, but it's going to be a tight squeeze, especially getting them through this. So next I want to line up where, now then, that has to go this way. Okay, so I've turned it up, it's inside out now, because I know these get folded in. And this is going to be here like this. So I have to line up and down. And I think the easiest way for me to do this will be See, that looks even by eye, but we all know I'm not very good at straight, really. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I am going to draw that there. I'm also going to draw pencil lines. Now I could measure it really carefully, but I'm not going to do that. I am going to just measure. Now if I put that there and that there, that is actually down there even. So next I have to try and punch my way through here. So just make sure again that those are lined up. I'm going to get my head in the way. That's perfect. And this way too. Yep, that is absolutely perfect. So I'm going to punch my holes in here first. So let's line this up if I can see where they are. Okay, I'm going to get this pen. No, I'm going to get a pen. Here we go. This pen here, because I'll be able to see that better underneath my crocodile. So I know that, right, that one's going there. I'm going to slide that back so I do get the exact same and correct distance. So that's one bit done there. Now I want to do this one here, and that should be there, and that is perfect. Oh dear. Okay, right, now then, I know now that this and this, it goes together with these folded in, so I have to put these with the outside facing together to make sure these, because these have to be so exactly right. If they're not, nothing goes together properly and nothing looks right. So line them all up, make sure they're all perfect, and then mark your holes. Brilliant. And then give them a punch. One. I will decide what papers I'm going to have on the cover eventually. Two. Okay. Right, so doesn't matter which is front and which is back because I haven't got any so that should be perfect, and that does look perfect. And they're in 1, 2. And so this does need a lot more squeezing and, you know, a little bit of manipulation to get it going. Right, next we're going to think about the spine. The first thing I want to do is try and just give this a bit of give, because it will when I originally did one of these, I actually used very thin packaging cardboard, and doing this, I think it probably is a better idea. So I would suggest maybe the packaging cardboard rather than corrugated cardboard. Okay, so right, this is going here, and then this, right, so this is my back cover, this is the inner back cover, this is my spine, and this is the outer spine. So I know that this then lays here, and this lays over here, and then this lays over here. So I have to get holes punched in this bit here. So I'm going to line this up. So I'm going to line up this first score line. So this is the outer of the spine and the outer of the back cover. I'm going to put those together, out to out together. I am going to line up, let's turn it over so you can see. I'm going to line up the top of this flap on the cover with that score line, so I can get that score line bent over, make sure that everything is even top to bottom here. And that is perfect. No, it's not. Get that back. That's better. Okay, now I want to pencil. I'm going to do this with a pencil because I'm going to have a look to see where it is first before I punch it. Okay, so I have here and here. That's not quite even. Okay. Make sure that it's all and this is the bit that takes time because you really do want to get this bit perfect. So I'm really sorry this is going to be such a long film again, a long video. Right, going in with the pen, that's definitely where I want it. Okay, that hasn't gone very well. Let's try that again. Move this down. All right, let's mark this again. It's getting the pen down into the think that's gone in. And then this one. That's better. Now I can see it. That's definitely much better. Okay, so I'm going to punch my holes in here. Okay, do this one first. And once again, I'm going to use my slider here to make sure that that's going to be in the right place. Oh, that might have been down slightly too much. Hoping that's going to be okay. Right, now these have to line up with these. Now sometimes, so this should all line up. Yeah, that's definitely off slightly. I thought it might have been. So, no biggie. I'm just going to have a slightly larger hole there, but it won't show when it's all put together. Okay. Yeah, that's better. Now I've got the holes right the way through on both sides. So now I have to repeat that exactly on this bit here. So rather than you see me do that all over again, but they have to be exactly a mirror image, one side to the other. So rather than me getting my head in the way and doing that again, I'm going to do that off camera and then I'll be straight back. Okay, that's my 4 holes punched, and fingers crossed they are going to line up because I did it in a bit of a hurry. Okay, so next you want to grab your 3 pieces and your Chicago screws, your bookbinding posts. For some reason I've lost the end of that one, but I only need 2, so here we go. So you want to take off the screw ends, and obviously you would have this decorated, but I'm not decorating mine just yet. Okay, so what you do, right, you start off with the back cover with the inside cover facing you. Grab one of your pins, pop it through. This is what I mean about it being a tight fit. This way. Now some people prefer to start from the front and some people prefer to start from the back. Okay, so that's your first bit there. That then folds in. Now, this is where, in a second, next you want to grab your spine, and with this folded up and the inside spine facing you, you want to pop on top and bottom, here and here. Now, this is where you would put in your pages. So you line up all your pages, stack them all up. I haven't done mine yet. Well, I've done one, and now I don't know where it's gone. Oh, there it is. This is the one I used as a template for all my holes. So all your pages then go in, and I just pretend I've got all 100 pages all nicely settled in there. Next, you fold this over and put in the other side of your spine like this. That's right. And then with the inner cover facing you, the inside of the cover facing you, and your little floppy spine bit here on the right, you pop that through your spine bit here, and hopefully if you've done all of the right measurements it's all going to fit, and then you pop on your screw fixings here. Now the idea is, when this is properly like this, the reason you have this flap here is because that will fold over and hide your screws. Okay, so, and it will eventually, when it gets a little bit of wear, or a lot of wear, I'm just going to it will disappear in there. So what you'll get then, as you can see, and this, if it's folded nicely, will give you a bit of a curve there. And obviously I still have to get mine done, but that is the basics of how you put together, well, this is basics of how I put it together. And of course when all the pages in, this holds together much better because this is pushed right up and it can't go anywhere. So I now have to decide on what I'm going to have on my covers, and then I have to do all my pages and fill it up, and then I will be done. But for now, that is it. That is how you do a post-bound album. That's how I do a post-bound album. And I may come back at a later date and show you what I filled it up, show you how I filled it up. But like I said, there, it's a gorgeous size to have, even if you have to spend out that extra bit of money for A3 papers and such like. But you know, obviously you can make it any size you like. Like I say, it's just a matter of getting all of this well worn so that you can fold all this in, and it does go together beautifully when it's all worn in and you've got time to really give it a good burnish. It goes together beautifully. So there we go. Hope you enjoyed that, and I hope it was clear enough, and I'll see you again soon. Bye for now.